Alright, so for this video, well, first things first, NGC 1333, so 1333. There. Yeah, it's just really, really awesome picture. I'll probably use it in other videos as well. Anyway, so for this one, this video should be pretty short. We'll see if I can keep it that way. My writing process, or I guess you could also say my writing ritual, which is, when I sit down to write, what do I do to help my mind get into the mood, get into the mode for writing? And for me, I have consciously decided on something that is fairly simple. I listen to music. That's it. No, we're not done. But that is just about all I need to say. The only thing I would add is I do try to select the music for the specific book. So if you look at the book descriptions that I wrote up and put on the Substack, excuse me, I do actually at the end of all but one, because I don't remember what I listened to for that one. It was the first book, so yeah, long ago, and I didn't write it down anyway. But I'll listen to a specific album or something like that whenever I'm writing the book or editing the book as well. And it'll be just that. And there's reasons why I do that. One is because music can impart emotion, so the fact that I'm listening to the same thing means in theory it's one thing that's being imparted to me, so it should help with stability for me across the book. Which, when you consider that these can take weeks, months, in one case it actually took me about a year to do the writing. Plenty of things interrupting that as well, but still is constant music, so that helps. And there's also then, related to that, connected to that, is sometimes there is a specific emotion I want through the story. So for example, with Failure and the Children of Many Gifts, its sequel, I wanted a melancholy tone for Failure. Didn't so much need it for its sequel, but I still decided to keep the same music. So one thing that I used is the soundtrack for the video game De-Rester, which definitely has a melancholy tone to it, and that was nice because it also doesn't have lyrics, so I don't need to worry about accidentally transcribing or something like that. Another album that I listened to for both those, but less frequently, it was more often the De-Rester soundtrack, was Feather and Bones by the Clarks, which is again a very melancholy, it's also very good music. I really do enjoy that album. But again, it was the emotions that those both imparted were things that I wanted to have while writing. Just trying to think what else I can really share on that. When I was editing one book, it was kind of funny. I decided, I can listen to other music. I'm just editing. That's fine. No, I literally couldn't even start reading the chapter until I put on the correct music. That was weird. I was not expecting that. But it is still that is what I'm talking about, is, having that ritual where it puts you into a certain mindset, and that's the mindset you need to get the work done. I think I tried later and it was fine. It was just like that one moment I needed it to be that music. But even ignoring that, I would still, it being that extreme, I would still say just as a norm, it's a good idea to have a ritual like that. And if you try to make one for yourself for writing or anything else, just try to keep it simple. You don't want... There's a level of superstition that goes to this as well. I mean, it is also a real thing, but a level of superstition in that if you have it be very complex, a complex ritual, it will be hard to get out of mistakes if it's very complex. So, let's say you have a certain keyboard that you write with, assuming you write on a computer. But you are traveling and you didn't bring the keyboard with you and you want to write. You can't, because you don't have the right keyboard. And things like that. So that's one nice thing with the music. It's very easy for me to bring that with me wherever I am. Especially if I just have it on the laptop and I have the laptop with me. So yeah, you do want to be conscious of that. Or I guess another would be if you need to drink coffee while doing something, but it's like a specific mug. That would be, getting into superstition, where now it's, if you don't have that specific mug, you may still drink the coffee, but are you not going to be able to get into the mindset you need? So yeah, things like that. That's kind of it for the writing ritual stuff. I am tempted to talk about some of the technical stuff. Here, I'll just run through the software. I don't want to get into details because then I'll be here for 20 minutes. The first thing that I work in is a word processor. If I'm on my desktop, it's Microsoft Word. If I'm on the laptop, it's LibreOffice, because I haven't put Word on here, and I'm probably not going to. And just word processors, they're nice. I don't use that for producing the PDF that I would send off to Amazon for the self-publishing. I use something else that's a more professional typesetter because it's a lot more powerful, allows me to do a lot more than Word or Writer do. One thing about word processors that are very nice is spell check. No, seriously, spell check is wonderful. Grammar check, not as much. Like, there are some things that you can write that's fine. It's not grammatically correct, but that's fine. You can still write it in the story like people are talking. They're allowed to talk in fragment sentences. But it always puts down the green squiggly line. It's like, why is that? No, you're wrong. It's fine. So yeah, I use that. The typesetter that I just mentioned I use is LaTeX, which it has a learning curve. You're kind of like writing code that is then compiled, like a program that's compiled into a PDF, but it's very powerful. And I've been teaching myself how to work with it for over a decade now. So yeah, I've gotten pretty good at working with it, but just because I use it doesn't mean you should even bother looking it up if you wanted to. If all you're comfortable working with is something like Word or Writer, then stick to those. Nothing wrong with those. For EPUB creation, I use a piece of software called Sigil, which is really nice because it takes HTML files, which are easy enough for me to write out by hand, or I actually have put together a script that will generate those and LaTeX files. I will be sharing those, but I don't want to get into details there for various reasons. Just as I said, I don't want this to go too long. For version tracking, word processors like Word and LibreOffice Writer do have the ability to track changes, but these are typically one layer deep. So, like, you could have your first draft, your draft, and then once that changes, and after that, you either have to just apply to the underlying draft, so you lose the original draft, or you have to just have all the edits together, which means you can't track between, was this the most recent edit or was it an old edit? Don't care much for that. So I have transitioned to using Git, which is a software version control system. And it's very effective. And the fact that it works with LaTeX and that I can also have the HTML for the EPUB, it works very nicely with those. It doesn't work so well with docx files, but it can work with them. It just makes the repository very large. It compresses the files that you're tracking, but docx files are already compressed, so they can't be recompressed efficiently, and that's where there's a problem. But as far as like the LaTeX files, it loves them. Same with HTML, it loves them. I'll just mention two other pieces of software that I use because the scripts that I said I have that generate the HTML or LaTeX files for me, those are scripts written in Python, and they're using something called Pandoc that will convert the docx into other file types. And I just have a converter one that then the Python goes through and makes up new files from it, one for each like chapter. It'll do that, and it also converts the formatting from the intermediary language into that for HTML and LaTeX. So, for example, bolding is done one way in the intermediate file. HTML does it a different way, and LaTeX does it a different way. So it just translates from what it is in the intermediary file into those. I'm actually pretty happy with that. I will probably be using it going forward because it's a lot easier than copy-paste. Make sure that formatting lines up, bold and italics, or just, okay, I wrote it here, now I'll write it over here. Although that actually does kind of work as well. Because if you're writing in two places, you may decide when you're writing it the second time, it's like, you know what, I want to change it a little bit, so you go back. So it's like an instant refinement process, but still, it's not convenient. It can be helpful, but it does mean it's convenient. I think that's it. But yeah, just going back to what is my ritual, listen to music. It's a simple one. And that's intentionally. That is intentional. I intentionally kept it simple. But if you have other things that'll work for your ritual, like having a certain kind of lighting, a certain chair. I don't know if you actually heard me hitting my armrest there. Something like a certain jacket or whatever you wear. It's like, whatever it is. I would just recommend you keep it simple, because that way you can get into the mode easily, get into the mood for writing easily, and maybe also out of it easily. That doesn't come up as being too important for me too often, but all right. See you next time.